Welcome to the Everyday Salon, a podcast about the everyday challenges, triumphs, and best practices of growing a successful salon business. And speaking of challenges, your host Brandon Hensley and his wife Janet have seen their fair share as they own and operate the multi-location Tangerine salons in Dallas, Texas. Be sure to subscribe, as each episode explores topics designed to inspire creativity and educate on best practices for a thriving business. We are excited that you've joined us, so let's get started with today's podcast. Take it away, Brandon.
Thank you for joining us today on the podcast. If you have not listened to the episodes that are before this, make sure you jump back and listen to those. There's some really great information where we are talking to salon owners and people in our industry about how to open during the pandemic, people who have already opened during this. And so that is really the point of everything that we're talking about right now is what are going to be the best practices, how are we going to come out as unscathed as possible through the coronavirus pandemic. And today is no different. Today we actually have a really awesome guest with us today, a really good friend of mine, somebody who has been instrumental in Tangerine's growth, and so I really am happy to have him here today. So Edwin Neill, he is the CEO of the Neill Corporation. He is the chairman of the Louisiana Board of Cosmetology. He's a board member on the Professional Beauty Association. So talk about a titan of our industry, and we are so happy to have him. Edwin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, Brandon. And I got to say, what you and Janet have created with your business is quite incredible. The way you've grown and the power of your team, the quality of the work you guys do, it's just, I just want to congratulate you on developing such a successful business. And I know this wasn't your first career.
Well, thanks. And but I'll tell you what, if it wouldn't have been for you guys, I'll be honest with you, you guys really showed us what was possible, in the salon world. Because, Janet, if anybody's ever heard my story, Janet's been a hairdresser for forever. And we actually owned another salon brand before this that, we didn't really, obviously we paid attention to it, but we just thought it was a beauty shop. And then once we got into the Neill Network and the Aveda Network, we realized, oh, wow, this can be something. And so we've been very, very fortunate to have you guys as a partner and friends. And like I said, everybody in Neill is like family. So we really, really appreciate that.
Well, we feel the same way.
So Edwin, we've talked to some salon owners about COVID-19. So you're obviously, you guys have salons too. You have Paris Parker salons, and I think, how many locations do you have?
We have 8 Paris Parker locations and 1 standalone Parker barbershop.
That's right. And then you also have a bajillion schools as well.
Yeah, we have 17 Aveda institutes.
Right.
So that's a big piece of what we do for sure.
And then, of course, the Aveda distributing. You distribute for the entire South. So, obviously, you guys are just doing a ton. So I want to kind of get right into, there's several different facets. There's a salon facet, there's a school facet, and then there's the distribution facet. So tell me what has been happening during COVID-19. It's been about a month and a half now.
Well, actually, fortunately for us, it's been longer because we started, our first pandemic response call was right around the 24th of February. So we got ahead of the game. And, this is something that comes out of our luck of being in a hurricane-prone area. So we learned a long time ago, when we see a storm out in the Gulf of Mexico, we got to start getting ready. And for us, it was just a very similar thought process because we've been reading the paper and saw, we've got some cases now in the U.S. and got community transmission. So we instituted some preparations. And my brother Ross is very involved in our school division. He first realized, we need to be ready to do remote learning for these students, because the last thing a student wants to do is sit at home, not able to continue their development towards their career for months on end. So back in February, we bought a whole bunch of mannequin heads, a whole bunch of iPads, and we started developing a curriculum to train students remotely. And we were ready to implement that when our schools, we closed down the clinic floors, right around the second week of March. And by the third week of March, we were up and running with distance learning.
That's amazing that you saw this and had the ability, not just the foresight, but the ability to do that. That's pretty incredible. In fact, I had a Zoom call with the Aveda Dallas that, they're having a lot of guest speakers and stuff on, and I was privileged to be able to do that. And so the kids are still learning, and so they'll be on their normal track, correct?
That's right. And when you look at their social media, the students are so grateful, and they're really having a good time with it. The instructors are able to teach, one instructor to a class of like 10 or 12 students. So they're all on video. So it's not like the students are having to watch a webinar or watch a video. They're actually, the interaction is still happening. So they're really able to continue their learning. And I know everyone's eager to get back in the schools, and we're hoping that's going to happen very soon, where we may not have the clinic floor open for guests, but we will be able to have students back in with hands-on. So waiting and seeing when that's going to be possible.
Wow. I mean, that is, if you're paying your money to a school and they didn't do something like this, I mean, that is a travesty. The fact that you guys did that, I mean, before you said that, I didn't even think about that, but I bet there's a lot of students that are just kind of out there and going to be on pause until things get back to normal. So literally a 2 to 3 month gap before they can start their careers. Wow. That's my hat's off to you for that. So tell us about the Aveda Distributing. Obviously, we're a customer of yours. You provide us with all of our hair care products that we sell and that we color and everything like that. So tell us about how that business has been.
Well, right around mid-March, basically our distribution sales ceased. April, we saw a few orders, and the orders have really begun to pick up in the last week or two. So the business is coming back. For us, our number one laser focus was what can we do to help our salons survive and thrive this pandemic. So we created a whole 5-step plan. And as you know, Brandon, we've been having a weekly webinar with our salon owner group where we have a variety of topics, from having a CPA on to talk about the governmental aid that's available. We've had our human relations attorney, our employment law attorney out of Washington, D.C. She's been on almost every call, and just really bring whatever resources to bear that we can to help people stay in business and really reopen successfully. And I got to tell you, Brandon, I feel like the opportunity for an Aveda salon as we come out of this is really incredible. Because if you think about Tangerine salons, I mean, they're known in the community for incredibly high quality, also pristine cleanliness. And so I feel like, with the Aveda brand, which is a trusted brand, which has got a reputation built since 1978 for integrity, backed by Estee Lauder, one of the big beauty brands that is also extremely known for its integrity. I think as consumers and clients are looking to feel safe, our tag phrase is safety is the new luxury. So we feel like this is the time for Aveda salons now more than ever.
Wow. You know what? That's a great way to put it. In fact, I'm going to steal that if you don't mind. Safety is the new luxury. I love it. Well, it is. And we have been preparing, as you know, I don't know if you've seen, but the governor here, he announced that we could open on the 8th, which was a few days ago. We decided to stick with our normal plan, which is the 18th. We wanted to make sure we were completely prepared, and our guests have been super understanding and about waiting just a little bit longer, because that is one of the things that a lot of people are concerned with is what is it going to be like to walk in? Because I still get anxiety. In fact, the second I walk into a grocery store, I feel like I just contracted COVID immediately, and and I know it's all psychological, but it is a very stressful time, anxiety. To sit there and have somebody so close to you. So we are really wanting to be, and I really appreciate everything that you guys have done as well. In fact, I made me feel a lot better when you had that CPA on and listening to that, and hearing what was available for us, because everything was a mystery when this first got started. Obviously, things have appeared to become a little more transparent in what we're going to do and how we're going to be able to do it and everything. So tell me about the salons. How was Paris Parker proceeding?
Paris Parker, obviously shut down with the governmental order, stay-at-home order. And we're lucky here in Louisiana because we got a nice heads up from our governor. Last week, we heard that salons would be in phase one, which he was planning on announcing when, for the 15th, he was going to announce it on the 11th yesterday. So it gave, it was good with my board of cosmetology hat on, we were able to be sure we had regulations ready, our guidelines ready. And then the salons were able to get, a date certain with plenty of notice so that they could start their preparations last week, including, figuring out, like, all the schedules were done last week. We did all the callbacks of the clients who already had appointments booked last week. And then, this week is all about getting the physical space ready. Friday, the staff's going in, they're going to do each other's hair and then have a safe, training on the safety and sanitation protocols, and then be ready to hit the floor with clients on Saturday. So Friday training, Saturday open.
That's great. In fact, one of the last episode I had Marcia Power with Garbo Salon on, and she said the biggest, because she did a little soft opening, and she said the biggest thing that you need to prepare for is how hard it is to work in a mask. So, and that's what we plan on doing is same as you, is getting the team in to do each other's hair and kind of get that, put the mask on, get the feeling and understand what it's like. But I think the biggest thing that she said is take a break every 20 minutes, just go step outside wherever it needs to be, take the mask off for a minute and breathe for a minute. And so I think that's great advice. And so I'm sure that, that as we start, you and I, we don't do hair, but my wife does. So she's got to figure this out, and all of our hairstylists. And we want to make sure that we support them. We understand we don't want to overwhelm them with these new protocols that we're doing.
Right.
So, and now most of your salons are obviously in New Orleans or around New Orleans, and
in New Orleans or in Baton Rouge or the North Shore of New Orleans. So they're within about an hour and 15-minute drive of each other. Yeah,
and you guys were hit hard, especially in New Orleans and everything. So how are your staff? How is their anxiety level with coming back? Have you found that some of them are just anxious to get back, or you found someone like a little more anxious?
No, I've been talking to a lot of people about it, and I heard at one point someone told me there are two types of people, and I think there are three. There's the type of person who says, I am ready to go back and follow the governmental rules, and I'm excited and I'm comfortable. There's a person who, I think you and I may fall into this category. We're a little more nervous, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're still going to go to work. But,
right.
The second category are the people who are they're really afraid, and they are not really that interested in coming back to work. And then you've got, I don't see this among our staff, but I mean some clients. You've got the type who are like, hey, this is a no big deal, and I don't want to wear a mask. And so each, I think for our staff and our clients, we have to have strategies to deal with all three, ways of behaving here.
Right. Now the mask thing has become. What I'm finding is the mask thing is becoming a political statement almost, in the sense of 99% of people are cool with it. Whenever I go to the grocery store, wherever I go, most people are wearing the mask and understand that it's, not so you don't get it, but so you don't give it. But I've gotten a few emails with some political statements basically saying you can't force me to wear a mask, all of this thing. Have you gotten that as well? Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's become very politicized, and it's funny. My sister lives in Europe, in Switzerland, and when they hear that masks are politicized, they think that's crazy. They can't even imagine why that could possibly be. I mean, for me, one of my good friends, Kevin Martin, who's on the board of cosmetology with me, he lost a couple of family members and some good friends. One of my oldest friends, he lost his stepdad to COVID-19. So for me, this is very real, and it's really, when wearing a mask is really the statement it's making is that you're protecting other people, not just protecting yourself. So I don't get the politicalization of it, and I don't like to be told what to do either. But these are extraordinary times, so for me, I think we should put that aside and let's have people wear masks so we don't get a big bump in this again, and the government doesn't try to close down the economy again, because we certainly don't want that.
We definitely don't want that. And that's one of the things that I've been preparing for. And in your business, I mean, you've got such a massive, massive business. NeillCorp is, like I said, the schools and the distribution. And I mean, you guys got so many different things. And so for us, obviously, all our eggs are in one basket, which is hair salons. And so the one thing that, I want to plan for, and which I'd like to talk to you, because you're I'm sure a lot of people know, but you're also an attorney and an extremely smart guy, much smarter than myself. So I'm really anxious to hear kind of what, going forward, now that we know that this is a possibility, what kind of steps should we be taking as small business to make sure we can weather a storm like this if it were to come again?
Well, first thing I'm going to say is I'm definitely not smarter than you, Brandon. But number two is that, you always have to have backing up room. And, this advice doesn't apply to you as much as it does maybe to some other salons, but this is why we have to have a reasonable level of profitability. We have to be able to weather a downturn in business, and we have to have cash reserves so that if a downturn comes, we can survive it. So I think fiscal responsibility and being very responsible about insisting on having a strong bottom line is more important now than ever to weather these things. And then, as far as the, another closure, I mean, I think that we've got to prepare ourselves for that eventuality and make sure that, we're doing everything we can to, maintain a war chest to the extent we can as we reopen, in case there is a subsequent closure. But as far as the liability side of things, I mean, I'm optimistic that we'll get something out of Congress or our state legislatures that will give some immunity for COVID claims to businesses, because you can't ask us to reopen with one hand and on the other open us up to lawsuits. So I think that's important too.
Well, that's it's brought a whole new world, and one that we all need to be thinking of, need to have, like you said, a strategy. We need to have a war chest. So I've always put money aside in a reserve type situation, because when you have multi-location or whatever you have, you want to make sure that, say if you have a fire, which we actually had a fire at one of our salons several years ago and had to shut it down for 3-4 weeks as it was repaired. You want to have some kind of a reserve fund, because you never know what's going to happen. Now, this hit out of the blue to where I needed a reserve fund for 5 locations, 150 employees, so on and so forth. Nobody could have ever seen that coming. So tell me, with Neill's strategy, with the schools, for example, obviously now you've got that strategy of how we can teach our kids, if they're not necessarily in a building. So that's fantastic. Now, what about distribution? So is there going to be any interruption, say, as soon as we open? Obviously, we're going to have to start, some really good orders and get all of our hair color and everything else that we're going to be depleted of really quick as soon as we get all these clients in. So is there going to be any interruption, or what's Neill's plan on keeping us stocked?
Yeah, well, the distribution center here in Hammond has never shut down. It's an essential service, and we've kept it staffed throughout. We've just had to ramp back up our staffing as orders really began to rise. I mean, yesterday was almost like a normal day. So we've got the staff in. We probably experienced a little bit of a delay in some shipments, but we're ready. And for us, if you look at our distribution business, we feel like if locations lapse back away from phase one, back into stay at home, that it probably won't happen everywhere. So that part is good. One thing I forgot to say that's been quite amazing when you mentioned the school business is that our participation on online learning, our attendance is running over 91%. It's actually higher than it is for in-person learning.
Really?
So that has been great. And when we look at we've actually enrolled some new classes. We enrolled an April class, and we were at the same levels of enrollment as last year.
Oh, that's great news.
And one thing I think that's exciting for salons is we're going to have there are going to be more people as we look at unemployment rising, which is so unfortunate. But the silver lining for our industry is that's when we get more people who are interested in seeking out a new career. Maybe they maybe they always wanted to be in hair, and now is their chance to switch. So that's an opportunity for us to really beef up our labor force. And how we always have a chronic shortage of hairdressers.
Right.
So it's a chance for us to hire more and to hire more estheticians and to really to get that staff we've always wanted to have. And I also feel like, Brandon, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, that you're going to see a stylist desire to be in a more stable, secure, safe business. So I think that's going to inure to the benefit of our Everyday Salon. And I wonder if that's your feeling too.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, immediately with our group, we provide health insurance, we provide, all of the great benefits. And so it was a much more stable environment for them during this time. They're coming back. They're not having to worry about, is the salon going to be clean? I mean, we're blessed in the sense that they're going to be able to walk in, they're going to be able to do hair, they're going to be, the entire plan has been formulated for them. And so we're going to make it as safe as possible. And I've gotten several texts from our staff and on Facebook and everything, just thanking us for, taking the time to make sure that they were safe. And I think that's the biggest thing is, because I always say, I would much rather be a part of a team of like-minded people than I would be doing this by myself. I would never want to do this by myself. And so having this family, having our team, having, all of the people involved has been such a blessing. Even during this time, we have a private Facebook staff page. And we've continued on with celebrating the birthdays, celebrating, we've got some babies being born. We've got all kinds of things that are still happening in our lives that we all want to celebrate together. And seeing all of that online, seeing that group of people be just like they were, like nothing ever happened, and still have that family has been very refreshing for me, and I'm sure it has been for you as well.
For sure. Well, one of the things that we've initiated was, we mentioned it on the webinar, I think you might have been on it, but is we set up a Facebook page, a website for stylists to go to if they're looking to relocate to an Everyday salon. And we actually, we're promoting it on social, we're boosting the posts. So we're putting it out there to the world of hairdressers that Everyday salons are open for business and hiring. So that's we've already gotten some leads, and we're passing them on to salons as we get them.
Yeah, that's great, because one of the, recruiting is probably the biggest. Well, it is probably the biggest challenge for salons. People are our product, and so we've got to have some really well trained and like minded people, and so I think that's a great thing that you're doing, and I think it's a better time than ever for somebody who has maybe been independent or something. If they want to join a team, if they want to get a part of something, that has a group of people, like-minded people, it's never been a better time. And so I know we're going to be hiring, because our backlog, because we typically see about 1,500 new clients every month that discover Tangerine for the first time. So not only are we going to have that pent-up demand, but we've got a month and a half, almost 2 months of canceled appointments, sometimes 2 appointment cycles in that. And so we've got a tremendous amount of clients, and we've got to figure out how are we going to do this. And so, especially with the spacing that we're going to have to do, I mean, we're going to be adding shifts, we're going to be opening earlier, all of the different things that we're going to do. But we desperately need more people in our family to help take care of our clients. And so anybody that is looking for a job, now is the time to look in your area to see who's hiring and join a great team. So
totally agree. I just had to ask you a question, because you mentioned we were, before we went on, we were talking about sports, and there's no sports on at the moment. But I was wondering if you have watched The Last Dance. Boy, that has been really good, I thought.
Everywhere I look, it's about The Last Dance, and I am such not a basketball fan that I have not watched it. But after hearing everybody talk about it, I mean, it's so much more than basketball, and so it's about leadership, it's about all kinds of things. So I'm definitely going to tune into it. You know, well, you and I, we're football rivals. Yeah, my team was embarrassed by your team in the college football playoffs. I'm a Sooner, and you're a Tiger. The right Tiger, the LSU Tigers, and so. But that was a question I was going to ask because, you know, we take care of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. You guys take care of the New Orleans Saints cheerleaders. So what are your thoughts on the NFL season? Do you think they're going to play in empty stadiums? Do you think we'll be back? Do you think what do you think is going to happen?
Here, I really think that, one, the season's going to proceed. I feel like we may be in the stadium with an empty seat between us, and we'll only, you know, if you're a season ticket holder, maybe you only get to go to half the games. I kind of think that it's going to happen. And I know our governor here, John Bel Edwards, is a massive LSU Tiger fan, and he gave a press conference and he said that for relaxation he watches a replay of the LSU season at night, and he says he loves it because he knows the outcome. He knows that they won't trail in the fourth quarter and they're going to win in the end. So it's very relaxing, right?
Yeah.
And that was so I think if our governor has anything to do with it, we'll be having football in the state of Louisiana. And after that season, last season, that was a once in a lifetime, you know? And I really, the outlet of sports, you don't even realize how much it means to you till you don't have it. But it's just such a great way to take your cares away for a few hours and just do something different. So I'm optimistic we'll be back in the dome.
Well, you're so lucky because your Saints won a Super Bowl. When did they win the Super Bowl? In 2000?
That was the 2009 season.
Yeah, 2009. And LSU obviously won just, you know, a few months ago. Okay, so my Sooners, it's been 20 years now since we've held up a trophy. And the Cowboys, I don't even want to talk about that. And so, you know, I don't know what it's like to win it all. And you have gotten both within the last 11 years, and I'm very, very jealous about that. But yeah, I hope, you know, we're, you know, like I said, we're big Cowboys fans, obviously here, and we've got the location there at the Star at the Cowboys headquarters, and so I'm there quite a bit, and you see activity there, and you know, we've got the new coach, we've got McCarthy there this year, the Green Bay Packers old coach. So,
he's great.
Yeah, so
yeah, he was an assistant for Sean Payton at the for the Saints at one point. He's amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping it translates. So I'm hoping this year we're you know, holding the trophy over you rather than you holding it over me. So I'll take that any day. I'll take that any day of the week. Well, Edwin, is there any last bit of advice or bits of wisdom that you can give us, salon owners, as we start back up? And I know you're going to be happy that we're going to start ordering again for sure.
Oh yes, please, Brandon, soon.
Yes.
For me, I think that we're going to be remembered, Brandon, by how we show up in this time, and it's really going to be about what we do to support other people, and that's the number. You know, that's what our salon owners do every day with their teams and their clients, and I think people have a lot to be optimistic about, especially Aveda salon owners, and let's make this the opportunity to really let the world know what we're all about.
I 100% agree, and the good thing about our industry is it is pretty recession proof, and so I have no doubt in my mind that as long as we're allowed to operate, that all salons that are going to put in the safety measures that do it well, we're all going to come out of this not only stronger but smarter. And hopefully we're going to really look at that bottom line, like you said, make that profit margin bigger. I sat with my accountant today, right before I jumped on here with you, and we were talking about, where are we going to trim? What are we going to do to make sure that that we can, make sure that war chest is even bigger in case anything like this happens again. So, But you guys have been so supportive. Everybody on your team, Lauren Nordquist, who is over our area, she contacts me all the time. How are you doing? And of course, she's a Sooner too, so we love to talk about that. But your entire team, I've been talking to Carol Augusto every day, just about, and so. You guys, and I love the Neill Corporation, and Aki and all of them have been checking on us. So we just want to we want to thank you and for being a part of our family and part of our success for sure.
Well, thank you, Brandon. We love you back, and all my best to Janet, and thank you for the time today. Enjoyed talking to you.
Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Wow, what an awesome conversation with Edwin. I know you enjoyed that as much as I did. Incredible amount of information. So happy that the Neill Corporation is helping so many different salons. All of their salons are being helped. They're having incredible webinars, all kinds of stuff. They really put out the information for us. So thank you again, Edwin. Now, I'd love to hear your comments, love to hear about what you are doing. Jump over to our Facebook or our Instagram, the Everyday Salon, and tell us about what you're doing. We want to hear more about everybody's experience during this time. It's going to be so different for everybody all over the country, so we want to hear about that. Now, be sure to subscribe on the podcast platform of your choice, or you can jump over to theeverydaysalon.com and subscribe there. But we will see you next time.
We are so happy that you joined us for this episode. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Check out the show notes, links, and more at theeverydaysalon.com. We can't wait to chat with you again next time on The Everyday Salon.